Yo, what's good, PC nerds? Ready to yeet your rig into 2025's most savage games and watch your GPU beg for mercy? We're talking titles so beefy they'll make your fans sound like a jet engine and your RGB lights flicker in fear. We've rated trailers, snooped through betas, and sniffed out dev leaks to bring you the top 15 games that'll turn your PC into a sweaty mess. From medieval sword-clanging chaos to nightmare realms that'll make your RAM cry, these bangers are here to flex on your hardware. Got a game you think your PC can flex back at? Yeet it in the comments and smash that sub button like it's a boss fight. Let's dive into the madness. 15. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Next Gen Update. Geralt's back, and he's brought a next-gen glow-up that'll make your PC wheeze like it's running a marathon. CD Projekt Red's Read engine slaps 4K textures, ray-traced shadows, and enough grass to choke a lawnmower. Novigrad's streets are poppin', Velen's plains are vibin', but hitting 60 FPS in this 80-100-hour epic is like asking your rig to bench press a dragon. Better fall damage, a crispy photo mode, and HD rework mod support make it lit, though pop-in in crowded spots is like Geralt forgetting his lines. Optimization's decent, but cities might make your PC stutter like it's nervous. This A-tier RPG is a straight-up banger. Got a GTX 1060, 16GB RAM, and an i5 to 8400? You'll limp to 1080p 30 FPS. Want 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing? Snag an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and a Ryzen 7 5800X, or your PC's gonna be hunting for a new job. 14. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2 is a cinematic flex that'll have your GPU screaming, "I'm not paid enough for this." Unreal Engine 4 paints Iceland's cliffs and Senua's brain-melting hallucinations in 4K, with ray-traced blood and mud that'll make your fans cry for mama. This 6-8 hour trip is all about parrying creepy foes and solving puzzles that feel like a Reddit thread gone wrong. Motion capture and 3D audio are straight fire, but long walks might have you yelling, "Move, Senua!" Optimization's shakier than a bad TikTok dance, so mid-tier rigs better brace. This A-tier vibe check needs beefy specs. GTX 1660 Super, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 9400F can scrape 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, you'll need an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 9 5900X, or your PC's gonna need therapy. 13. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Spidey's back, and he's webbing up your PC like it's a low-rent villain. Unreal Engine 4 makes New York a 4K playground of shiny skyscrapers and ray-traced puddles that'll make your GPU sweat like it's in a sauna. Swing as Peter or Miles through a 20-30 hour open world, yeeting Kraven and Venom with combos smoother than a TikTok transition. Web wings and slingshots are pure hype, but heavy traffic and boss fights will have your PC begging for a timeout. Optimization's tight, but MJ's stealth missions are slower than dial-up. This A-tier Spidey flex is a hardware roast. GTX 1070, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8600K can swing to 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, grab an RTX 4070 Ti, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 7 5800X. Tweak shadows or your rig's gonna yeet itself off a skyscraper. 12. Control. Remedy's Control is a supernatural vibe that'll make your PC see the oldest house in its nightmares. Northlight Engine builds a 4K brutalist maze with ray-traced smoke and debris that'll have your GPU muttering, "I didn't sign up for this." As Jesse Faden, yeet concrete, levitate, and pop off with a morphing pistol for 15-20 hours. Combat's slicker than a TikTok dance, but all that exploding glass and pillars will make an RTX 30 series cry. Optimization's okay, but mod menus are clunkier than a bad Wi-Fi connection. This A-tier chaos is a Twin Peaks fever dream that'll wreck your rig. GTX 1660 Ti, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8500H at 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, snag an RTX 3080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 5 5600X, or your PC's gonna need a paranormal exorcism. 11. Alan Wake 2. Oops, looks like we got a glitch in the Matrix controls listed twice. Let's fix that with Alan Wake 2's Real Glow Up. Remedy's survival horror banger is a 4K nightmare that'll make your PC wish it had a flashlight. Northlight Engine crafts creepy forests and mind-bending dark place vibes with ray-traced shadows and fog that'll tax your GPU like the IRS. Over 15-25 hours, swap between Alan and Saga, dodging jump scares and blasting shadow freaks. Optimization's rougher than a bad Tinder date, and mid-tier rigs will stutter like they're possessed. This A-tier spooky flex is a hardware slayer. GTX 1660 Ti, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8500 can creep to 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, grab an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 7 5800X, or your PC's gonna write its own horror story. 10. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Time to get medieval on your PC's butt. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 uses CryEngine to sling 4K forests, castles, and sword fights that'll make your rig feel like it's stuck in the Dark Ages. This 56 60-hour open-world banger throws you into bandit brawls and epic sieges with armor shinier than a knight's ego. Combat's tight, but late-game NPC mosh pits can make your PC lag like it's drunk on mead. Textures aren't razor-sharp, but the story's immersive and optimization's solid. This B-tier gem is a sneaky benchmark bully. GTX 1050 Ti, 8GB RAM, and i5 to 7400H at 1080p 30 FPS. For 1440p 60 FPS, grab an RTX 3060, 16GB RAM, and Ryzen 5 3600. Lower NPC density or your rig's gonna surrender to the king. 9. Cyberpunk 2077 with mods. Night City's back, and it's modded to the moon, baby. Cyberpunk 2077 with community mods is a neon-soaked PC roaster with 4K ray trace streets and weather effects that'll make your GPU cry electric tears. Trains, slick combat, and 30-50 hours of roleplay are cyberlit. But without an RTX 40 series and 32GB RAM, your rig's gonna crash harder than a bad crypto investment. Rainy drives with synths layering are pure vibes, but optimization's patchier than a quilt. This A-tier titan will fry your setup. GTX 1660 Super, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8400H at 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS modded madness, snag an RTX 4090, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 9 5900X. Budget rigs, stick to low settings or your PC's gonna ghost you. 8. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Indies cracking whips and breaking PCs in 2025. Machine Games' Unreal Engine 5 adventure slaps 4K pyramids, misty jungles, and Nazi punching action across a 20-30 hour open world. Ray trace smoke and Harrison Ford's chiseled mug will make your GPU sweat like it's raiding the Ark. Crowded markets and detailed frescoes are a vibe, but mid-tier rigs might lag like Indy running from a boulder. Optimization's solid, but ray tracing demands a beefy GPU. This A-tier relic hunt is a hardware smasher. RX 6700 XT, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 9400F hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, grab an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 7 5800X. Lower crowd density or your PC's gonna get lost in a temple. 7. Delta Force, Black Hawk Down. This free Unreal Engine 5 expansion is a war zone that'll make your PC salute and then pass out. 4K dusty streets and bullet-strewn alleys pop with smoke and dynamic lights, but one wrong move in this 10-hour co-op slaughterfest and you're toast. Sniping enemies in shadows needs an RTX GPU to keep 60 FPS, and optimization's shakier than a recruit's first day. This B-tier chaos is a gritty thrill. GTX 1650, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8300H hit 1080p 30 FPS. For crisp 1440p 60 FPS, grab an RTX 3070, 16GB RAM, and Ryzen 5 5600X. Low settings or your rig's calling for backup. 6. Star Citizen. Star Citizen's an early access space opera that'll make your GPU dream of simpler times. Unreal Engine 5 crafts 4K neon cities, starry voids, and alien jungles, but bugs hit harder than a meteor shower in this 100+ hour epic. Fly through glowing sunsets or loot wrecks, but without an RTX 40 series and 32GB RAM, your rig's gonna crash like a noob pilot. Visuals are straight fire, but gameplay's rougher than space turbulence. This B-tier flex is for big rig ballers. GTX 1080, 16GB RAM, and i7 to 8700K hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS, snag an RTX 4090, 64GB RAM, and Ryzen 9 7950X. Mid-range PCs, cut textures, or your rig's spacing out. 5. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 is a 90s-fueled explosion fest that'll make your PC wish it had a bomb shelter. IW Engine drops 4K ray-traced gala scenes and grenade blasts that pop harder than a TikTok trend. The 8-12-hour campaign's 60 FPS gunplay is smoother than a spy's one-liner, but ultra settings will make your GPU sweat like it's defusing a nuke. Optimization's tight, and smarter enemies keep you on your toes. This A-tier benchmark won't break your rig, but will make it beg for a breather. GTX 1060, 8GB RAM, and i5 to 7600K hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, grab an RTX 4070, 16GB RAM, and Ryzen 5 5600X. Mid-tier rigs, medium settings for the win. 4. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Spidey swings back for a second round, and he's webbing your PC into next week. Unreal Engine 4's 4K New York is a shiny, ray-traced playground of skyscrapers and rainy vibes that'll make your GPU cry for Spidey's mercy. Swing as Peter or Miles, smashing Kraven and Venom in a 20-30 hour open world with combos slicker than a viral reel. Web wings are hype, but traffic-heavy scenes will make your rig lag like it's stuck in NYC traffic. Optimization's solid, but MJ's stealth missions are slower than a Monday. This A-tier web slingers a PC pummeler. GTX 1070, 16GB RAM, and i5 to 8600K hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS, grab an RTX 4070 Ti, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 7 5800X. Lower shadows or your PC's getting webbed up. 3. Monster Hunter Wilds. Capcom's Monster Hunter Wilds is a 4K beast that'll make your PC roar in pain. Re-Engine crafts wetlands and volcanic peaks crawling with monster herds that'll have your GPU hunting for cover. Hunt epic beasts with flashy combos over 40-60 hours. But ray tracing and dynamic environments will make mid-tier rigs beg for a patch. This A-tier monster mash is a hardware slayer. GTX 1660 Ti, 16GB RAM, and i5-9400F hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS, snag an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 7 5800X. Budget rigs, low settings, or your PC's getting eaten. 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed Shadows slices through feudal Japan like a samurai with a grudge, and your PC's gonna feel the cut. Anvil Engine drops 4K cherry blossoms, misty peaks, and rain-soaked villages with ray-traced sparks that'll make your GPU sweat like it's in a dojo. Sneak, stab, and duel through a 40-60 hour open world, but crowded cities will make mid-tier rigs lag like a ninja caught in daylight. Optimization needs some zen tweaks, but this A-tier beauty is a visual katana. RX 6600, 16GB RAM, and i5-9600K hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing, grab an RTX 4080, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 9 5900X. Lower crowd density or your PC's getting shurikened. 1. Doom. The Dark Ages. Doom. The Dark Ages is the ultimate PC melting demon-slaying party. iTech Engine unleashes 4K ray-traced gore, lasers, and particle chaos that'll make your rig scream, "I'm not worthy." Rip through sci-fi forests and hellish pits over 15-25 hours, hitting 120 FPS if your PC's built like a Doomslayer. Weaker rigs will crumble like a demon's skull, but optimization's smoother than a chainsaw cut. This S-tier banger is a GPU apocalypse. GTX 1080 Ti, 16GB RAM, and i7-8700K hit 1080p 30 FPS. For 4K 120 FPS, snag an RTX 4090, 32GB RAM, and Ryzen 9 7950X. Mid-range rigs, medium settings, or your PC's going to hell. That's the top 15 PC crushing bangers of 2025. Doom. The Dark Ages is the S-tier king, while Assassin's Creed Shadows, Monster Hunter Wilds, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, Cyberpunk 2077 mods, Alan Wake 2, Control, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and The Witcher 3 are A-tier legends. Star Citizen, Delta Force, and Kingdom. Come hold it down in B-tier. Which beast has your rig shaking in its case? Drop your fave in the comments, smash that like button, and keep those fans screaming. Peace out, and may your FPS be high and your temps low.